Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to DannieBSpeaks, the podcast. It's been a while. I looked at the last podcast and it said it was about 4 months ago. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But, life happens, things happen. I just really wasn't in the mood. I'm not going to sit up here in front and lie. I'm not going to make it seem like it wasn't what it was. I just wasn't in the mood. It was becoming very overwhelming doing a show every week. And even as much as I enjoyed it, it was still a lot of work. Mind you, I'm doing all of this myself, so it was just becoming a lot. I had some stuff going on personally, and I just wanted to step back and focus on getting some stuff together. I'm still a mess, but we're just going to keep on going with it. We're just going to do what we do, get back into the show. I have a lot of topics that I want to cover within, not this episode. I'm not going to overwhelm it. I'm going to try to make this a brief episode. That's the other thing. I don't want to have like hour-long shows unless I'm really getting into something, because most of my shows were like 40 minutes to an hour. I really want to make them a little shorter than that. We'll see. You never know. Also, I have some people lined up to be on the show coming in to this year. We're just going to do it big. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep growing this thing and just keep it pushing. So with all that said, let's get into the show. All right, so let's just get into it. Let's talk about Robyn Crawford real quick. Now, for those of you who don't know, Robyn Crawford was Whitney Houston's former assistant, manager, stylist, best friend, mainly best friend. And recently, she came out with a book detailing her life with Whitney Houston. And who better to tell her story than her? Now, let me backtrack real quick. At first, I didn't really know how to feel about Robyn Crawford coming out, because I do have an issue with people, regardless of who you are, after someone has passed away, now you want to, pretty much drop their tea and everything like that. And I thought about it for a while, and I was just like, well, why can't she? To me, this is a little different. This is someone who everyone else has told her story. They have made her look like some crazed, obsessive lessee who couldn't be with Whitney Houston for whatever reason. The truth of the matter is, when these other movies and documentaries were making her look that way, and other people's interpretations of who she was and everything like that, everyone was okay with that. But now that she wants to tell her story, there's a problem with it. Who better to tell their own story than themselves? We've heard stuff from everybody else in that camp pretty much, besides Robyn Crawford. For all these years, she had not said anything. She's taken everything that was said about her, all the rumors and everything like that, and she wanted to clear the air. Why can't she? Why doesn't she have the right to clear her name and say her part in what was going on and her point of view and everything that went on with her numerous years with Whitney Houston? Now, most people have a problem with it, and let's just keep it real, because it's a lesbian woman discussing a lesbian relationship that she had with one of our faves. Now, I have a huge issue with that, because when it was just looked at as people were like, oh, so what if Whitney did have a lesbian relationship? It's not her business to tell. Why not? If she was involved in this relationship with Whitney Houston and she wants to tell her truth, why not? And we can't sit up here and say, well, if Whitney was still alive, she wouldn't have done this, because we don't know. Unfortunately, Whitney is gone. People don't know this really about me, but Whitney Houston is my all-time favorite singer. And maybe because I always talk about Mariah and Janet, the most, but Whitney is my all-time favorite singer. I really don't talk about her that much. I'll post about her every now and then, but I really don't talk about her that much because, I'm sad that she's gone. The way that her legacy is being drug, it's bad. It's really bad. And these are things that we've known about Whitney Houston, but either people didn't want to admit it, or they didn't want to realize that this is who Whitney Houston was. Robyn Crawford, so many other people have said Whitney Houston was not this glamorous, feminine being, that she was developed into by Clive Davis. Whitney Houston was an around the way Jersey girl. She was just rough, and she was who she was. She loved to sing. She just had this natural beauty that you couldn't deny, you know what I mean? And she had a voice that was out of this world. So of course she was going to have to transform into being that person who they created her to be. She had so many demons, including the fact that she was attracted to women. She and Robin had a relationship, and it wasn't that long. And that's another thing that people need to get over, is that the book isn't about their romantic sexual relationship. It's a very small portion of the book, and it's in the beginning, and I'm not going to go into details about the book and everything, but I am going to touch on a few things that really stuck out to me in the book. They only really were together in that way for a couple years, maybe 2-3 years at the max, and they had a real full out relationship. They were girlfriends, okay? That's who they were. And when Whitney Houston, when she started getting into the music and she was getting, shopping around for record deals and all this other stuff, when she saw that her career was going somewhere, she wanted Robin by her side. But she was basically like, we can't have this type of relationship going to where we're trying to get to. Pretty much saying that it's not going to be looked at as good. So basically, we both have to live a lie. Well, at least me, I have to live a lie, pretty much, to get to where I need to be. The way that I think Whitney Houston, and of course this is all speculation, this is just from things that have been said over the years and what I've read in the book, is that I think that if Whitney was still alive, and I hate doing this because she's not here, but let's just say if she was still alive, I'm pretty sure that she and Robin would still be good friends, and they may have eventually got back together, because Whitney even let people in her circle know who were real close that Robin was the one. She said it in so many ways. And that's why she got into all these toxic relationships with men like Jermaine Jackson, who was married at the time, Eddie Murphy, who treated her like shit, Bobby Brown, who was just the downfall of everything because they were both just so toxic to each other. And yes, Whitney was doing drugs way before she met Bobby Brown. So let's get that out the way. Bobby did not introduce Whitney to drugs. Everyone has said that. Robin and Whitney were doing drugs back in the day together. And Whitney was actually the one that helped Robin get off of drugs. How ironic is that? But Whitney would not do it. Let's talk about Cissy Houston for a second. Now, Cissy Houston has always had a problem with Robin Crawford, for one, because of the relationship that she had with Whitney back in the day. She knew what it was. Everybody in their family knew that Robin and Whitney had something going on and that they were so super close, because Cissy would always say it's not natural for two women to be that close. So she knew what it was. She also didn't like Robin because Robin seemed to bring out a more independent side of Whitney, where Cissy wanted to control everything about Whitney. She let the boys do whatever they wanted to. She let Gary and Michael do drugs, just be just ratchet and just raunchy and just, be trash out here. They could do no wrong in her eyes, but Whitney was the girl who was going to make Cissy look good. What I mean by that is Gary Houston, he got kicked out of the NBA. He got kicked out of the NBA for drugs. He became Whitney's background singer early on in her career. He was one of her background singers, but he was always showing up high, if he showed up at all. And Robin, who during the early part, basically until, I think it was maybe until about like 97, 98, maybe. I might be off a few years. That was up until that point was when Robin was very involved and very take charge of Whitney's career, because Whitney trusted her. She knew Whitney trusted her. She had a love for Whitney Houston that was just to a point where she wanted to protect her and do what was right for her. So who better to run your career besides that person? Michael Houston, who was the one who got Whitney hooked on drugs and even admitted it after she passed away, was her road manager, and he was doing the same thing. He was slacking on the job. And when Robin would call home and say, you need to get your children together, including Whitney, because they're out here doing drugs, they're doing this and doing, just doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff that's messing us up and making us not look good. Cissy didn't care about any of that. All she wanted to know was how Whitney sounded and how Whitney looked. Was she pretty? Was she elegant? Was she gorgeous? Did her voice sound good? That was all she was worried about. So Sissy knew about all this going on, but she never did anything because maybe she was afraid that if she changed the way things were, then it may destroy everything, or she just didn't care. I mean, I hate to say that, but Sissy was a trip. Sissy was a trip. She was messing around with the pastor. I mean, just off the hook, but of course she can mess around with the pastor, but she has a problem with a gay relationship. That's typical. But anyway, Whitney Houston to me was just living a lie like a lot of people do. And you see this years later in their life. And Whitney she was 48 when she passed away. So she may have came to the realization by now that, I am a lesbian woman, or I'm a bisexual woman, or, I don't know. I don't know. This is all just speculation, of course, because we will never know. Gary Houston and John Houston, who was Whitney's father, and Gary Houston, he's not even a Houston. So, he changed his last name basically for show business because he thought he was going to become a singer, but drugs effed that up. But Gary Houston and John Houston had this thing out for Robin because they felt like she was going to basically destroy their fun and destroy the way things were going. Pretty much, Robin was the voice of reason, and they didn't want that. And Whitney didn't have a lot of say-so in anything that was going on. She was just there. Like later on, Robin said that she didn't even think that Whitney ever knew one of her phone numbers because she was just used to just everybody doing everything for her, including herself. So there was that, but there was a point when this was around the time I think Robin started, kind of moving away from them a little bit. She was still working for Whitney Houston and the Houston family, but Nippy Entertainment or whatever it was called. She was an employee of them, but she was distancing herself a little bit more because she was not liking the way things were going. And this was also around the time that Bobby Brown came into the picture, and I think that they were probably married around this time too. But Gary Houston and John Houston came up with a plan to take out Robin Crawford, and they wanted to take her out just in the most vile way possible. They didn't want to kill her. They wanted to scare her and cause her harm. Now, why would you want to do that to somebody who's trying to better your family? I don't understand that. Not long after this happened, and I think this was the straw that broke the camel's back for Robin, and she was like, okay, I'm out. I quit. I'm putting in my resignation. Now, she said that she and Michael Houston were always super cool. Like, they got along great. She was cool with the family, his family. It was always Whitney, Michael, her, and Michael's wife. Like, they were super tight. She was cool with their children. They were just like a family. And Michael came over Robin's house one day, which wasn't out of the ordinary. They were sitting down talking, and he asked Robin, did she want to hit the blunt? Now, Robin said she hadn't, she basically quit the heavy drugs years ago, but she still smoked weed. So he asked her if she wanted to hit the blunt, and he let her light it and everything. And she was like, cool, let's go. Let's do this. And she said that after a couple puffs, she started feeling so weak and so drowsy, and the room was spinning. So she knew something wasn't right. And this actually wasn't long after the thing with Gary and John Houston happened, where it got back to her that they pretty much wanted to break her legs or something crazy like that. So apparently Michael Houston put something in the weed, and I guess it was it was like crack mixed with something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was a mess. And when she brought it up to, I can't think of who the lady was, but I think her name was Sylvia, and I don't know if she was like another assistant or something like that to Whitney Houston around this time. And she became an enemy of the family as well because she was trying to do right by Whitney. But that's a whole nother story. So I guess she mentioned this to Sylvia, just, they were having a conversation one day, and she was like, the craziest thing happened the other day. Michael came over, and we were just sitting there talking, and, he lit a blunt and everything. And she was like, wait a minute, come to think about it, I lit it. And it just made me feel so weird. And Sylvia was like, that was the day that he was in the kitchen. We all were in the kitchen, me, Whitney, and Michael. We were all in the kitchen, and he was cooking something, and it smelled horrible. And Whitney was just like, oh my gosh, that stinks. Can I get some? Because, I guess the funkier, the better, I guess. I don't know. So pretty much Michael was like, nah, you can't have none of this. This ain't for you, and then he left. So apparently whatever he was concocting together, that was meant for Robin. And I don't know if it was supposed to take her out. I don't know what it was supposed to do. But after that, she was done. Now she had tried to resign from Nippy Inc. plenty of times before, but Whitney wouldn't let her go. She was just like, no, I need you here. You're the only one I really trust. And, we've come this far and everything like that. So Robin stayed. But now she was just like, okay, I have to go. And also around this time was when Whitney and Bobby got into one of their many arguments and fights, and Whitney let it be known that Robin and I used to mess around. And mind you, this had been rumors for years that there was something going on between those two because they were always together. They lived together at one point. They lived together up until, I think, when Whitney turned 18 or 19 from when she got married to Bobby Brown. They had lived together. So, of course, when Whitney and Bobby got married, Robin moved out on her own, of course, out of respect and everything like that. That's what you're supposed to do, right? I mean, when Bobby found out that Robin and Whitney had messed around back in the day, he was pissed because, men normally don't care too much if if their woman had messed around with women before. Some of them, that's a turn on. They're like, oh, we could still do that. You know what I mean? But if it's a more masculine woman or if it's a woman that they feel intimidated by, then it's a problem. So that was how Bobby was. And after that, he started really treating Robin like crap. And it just got bad. It got bad for Robin to the point where she was just like, okay, your family's trying to kill me. Your husband hates me. He's making me feel uncomfortable. Your mother is just causing all this drama and everything like that. I gotta go. So she left. She put in her resignation. Whitney said she understood, but she was like, I still want you in my life. Robin was like, of course, we're friends. But of course, that didn't happen because Whitney got more into drugs. Bobby started secluding her more from her family and friends. And it was just bad. So she just said they kind of just really didn't. They still were close up until Whitney's death, but they just really didn't talk that much. And Robin went on with her life. And, she went on and started dating and everything like that. And let's talk about Robin dating real quick because this is so typical of a confused ass woman. Hold on. So Robin admits that, most of her, pretty much her early adulthood life, she was still confused if she was bisexual or if she was a lesbian. And which happens to a lot of people, not just women, but men as well. If you're battling through that and everything, that's why so many people say, oh, I'm bisexual, or whatever. But, you're really not. You're just confused. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So when Whitney found out, Whitney was going on doing her thing. She was dating men and everything. And this was before she got married to Bobby Brown. But she would, when Robin would go on dates with men, Whitney didn't have a problem with it. They were living together at the time. So they would talk and everything about the date and all this other stuff. And, just have girl talk and everything after Robin came home from her date with a man. If she brought the man back to the apartment, Whitney didn't care, whatever. But when Robin went out with women, Whitney would be pissed. She would treat the woman like shit. If Robin brought her back, she would make little sly comments. And it was bad, but it's typical. She was jealous. She wanted to be Robin's woman. And when Robin started dating other women, it was just like, what the hell are you doing? I'm your woman, but you could do what you want to do. But when I want to do what I want to do, it's a problem. It's so typical. But anyway, I digress. And another thing I want to touch on real quick is this was after Robin. Now, I think that if I'm remembering correctly, Robin, she kind of had a jacked up childhood because her father was abusive. Her mother, not really to the kids, mentally maybe, but not physically. But the father was very physically abusive to their mother, to the point where police had to be called and to the point where Now, Robin was born in Jersey, but at one point they moved to California, where she lived for quite a few years. And to escape their father, they moved back to Jersey. The father, of course, was begging and saying he was going to change and everything like that. So the mom let him back in, and nothing changed, of course. Robin had 2 siblings, a brother and a sister. The brother was older than Robin. Then she had a younger sister. The younger sister's still alive. Her brother and her mother, about 5-6 years apart from each other, ended up dying of AIDS. So she was dealing with a lot around the time that all this Whitney drama was going on when she was still employed. And she ended up leaving to basically, another reason why she left was she became a caretaker to her brother up until his death. She went and bought a house for all them to live in together. Her mom, it was Robin, her mom, and her 2 siblings. They all lived together in this house. Around this time, also, it was exposed that her younger sister was bipolar. I mean, she was, just doing some off-the-wall stuff, and she got diagnosed, but it's under control and everything. Robin said it's under control. So up until the mother passed away, about not long after that, her sister went to go live with some other family members, and Robin said, I have to do what I have to do for me now. I have to take control of my life. I've been doing stuff for everybody else. Now it's time for me to live for me. So she sold her house, packed up, and moved to Los Angeles. She said she was going to give herself, because she was an East Coast girl. Even though she had lived in California as a kid, she was an East Coast girl. So she said, I'm going to give myself a year just to be out here, and if things don't work out, I'm moving back east. Within that time that she had moved to California, she got a job offer for, I think it was like an A&R position or something like that, but it was at Arista Records. At the time, L.A. Reid was the president of Arista Records. He offered her this position because she had been in the music business for a long time. She was very instrumental. Regardless if people want to give her props or not, she was the driving force behind Whitney's career, especially during her more, her more popular years, like when she was really out there killing it. Up until The Bodyguard and The Preacher's Wife, when she, that era, Waiting to Exhale, and all her albums up until that point, she was very instrumental in her career and development and who Whitney was as an artist. That was basically all Robin Crawford, and she never really got the recognition for that. But because of that, it didn't go unnoticed by the music business. So Robin was able to keep her connections and everything like that. When this position came up, it was back in New York. So she was going to have to move back to New York if she got it. So she went on 2 interviews, killed it, got the job, and they told her basically, be in New York by this time. So she packed up everything. She ended up going back to New York within a year, she moved back to New York and was getting ready to get back into the business. And she was very happy. She was excited. And then boom, she moves back to New York. She's staying with a friend until she can get established. She doesn't hear anything. She was like a week or 2 went by and she didn't hear anything, like where she's going to start, what her first assignment was. So she ended up calling L.A. Reid directly and was like, hey, I moved back here. I'm ready to start my position. When do I start? What do I do? And he was just like, oh, I'm sorry, we just can't offer you the position. Just like that. No phone call, nothing like that. She had to call to follow up. But that's how the entertainment business is. It's just, just grimy like that. So she was devastated. I mean, which anybody would at any kind of job, especially if you pack up your life again and move and you think that you have this position coming in and nothing happens. What the hell? You know what I mean? So she was devastated by that. He said he couldn't tell her right now why she didn't have the position. So she goes at least another year or 2 without knowing. Fast forward a couple years later, she runs into LA at a photo shoot for like the Grammys or something like that, or the Oscars. It was some kind of big award show photo shoot that her girlfriend turned wife at the time was directing. And so Robin came to basically assist and to help with wardrobe and things like that. So she was there on the shoot and she runs into LA. And so she was just like, look, LA, she was like, we've known each other for years. You at least deserve me. I at least deserve to know why I didn't get this position. And he tells her, he was like, look, I'm sorry. I couldn't say anything at the time, but the Houstons didn't think that it was a good idea for you to be working with Arista Records. So it was pretty much, he didn't say it was Whitney. He just said the Houstons. She was pissed. I mean, she said that she was spitting fire. It was just like, after everything I've done, now y'all are going to try to stop my career? Oh no, so she said that from that point on, like, Whitney would call her and she wouldn't return the calls. And, it was just like, she said that she was pissed. She was just like, she didn't want to have anything to do with them. And it was just like, she couldn't believe it. Out of all these years and all the dedication that she put into Whitney and her career, you're going to stop my career. Come to find out, it wasn't Whitney, of course. It was her father and a couple other people who worked with Nippy Inc., probably Sissy. And, they found out, of course, Arista Records, put it around that, they were hiring Robin Crawford for this big position, and they put a stop to it. So, I mean, that just lets you know what she went through, and she had never spilled tea about anything. Absolutely nothing. When most of us would have been singing like a canary, no matter how or who it would have been about. Yeah, I mean, that's just messed up. But she went through a lot. She deserved to tell her story. I don't care how people feel about it. Everybody has their own opinion about it. I had mine at first, but then when I really thought about it, I was like, she deserves to tell her story. Everyone else has told it for all these years. And it was no problem when everybody else was spilling Whitney's tea and saying this and that and other. We were all tuned into it and looking for it and everything like that. But when someone who was actually there from true day one wants to say what's going on and what happened in her career, not just their love life, get off of that, but just in Whitney's career. I mean, this truly, Robin's book was the most, I think, accurate description that we're going to get into Whitney Houston and who Whitney Houston was. This book really, truly normalized Whitney Houston and made you feel bad for her, even more than you already did, because so much has been revealed about her life, of course, after her passing. That's what always happens. But when you have this story coming from someone who was there and on the inside and who was a huge part of it, yeah, it definitely makes someone just look like, wow, Whitney was really going through it. Did she ever have a chance? That's pretty much my almost 20 or so minute interpretation of Robin Crawford's book. I think it's called Robin Crawford, A Song for You, My Life with Whitney Houston, something like that. But it is very good. It is really good. And I was hesitant at first, but I was like, I'm going to read the book. I'm going to read the book and I'm going to judge for myself. And if anything, this is the book that should be made into a movie. I'm sorry. This is the book that should be made into a movie about Whitney's life. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Baby, so much has happened in this whole bull crap with Trump and everything since the last time I recorded. I mean, something happens every day. Let's just keep it real. So just think the last time I discussed anything about him with you all was 4 months ago. Oh my goodness. I mean, let's just get into it real quick. I'm not going to talk about this long because I'm just at a point right now where I really don't give a damn. We're in an election year. Let's take this shit serious this time. I mean, we just need to focus on getting him the hell out of here. And what really is bothering me is I'm seeing so many people talking about, well, already, and even black people. I'm seeing so many people say again, and this is just like Hillary all over again, if so-and-so is a nominee, I'm not voting. I mean, are people really just that selfish nowadays that they're just not even looking at the bigger picture? It's just about how you feel about something. When it comes to this, do you know how many times in an election history, and not just a presidential election, but local elections, everything like that, even school elections, there has been 2 people on the ticket that you didn't care for. I mean, it happens all the time. You're not going to always agree with both people. Or if it's more than one person on a ticket, you're not always going to agree with those people. And what the hell's her name? Gabby, what the hell's her name? The chick from Hawaii. She's definitely a Russian operative. I don't give a damn. Hillary wasn't lying. Maybe Hillary shouldn't have been the one to spill the beans and put her on blast like that. But something ain't right with that chick. And I said this about a year ago. Something is not right with her. She needs to be watched. I have a feeling that she's going to, because I don't think that she's made another Democratic debate. I don't think that she's even going to be on the Iowa caucus ticket. But I can see her leaving the Democratic Party and running as an independent just to fuck things up. I can totally see her doing that because she's working for somebody. She is. She has to be. But anyway, let's get into Trump still being Mariah to the bullshit. He doesn't know anybody. I mean, this guy who was one of the ones that was indicted when all this impeachment stuff started, what's his name, Lev or whatever, he did their interview with Rachel Maddow last week. And that interview was everything. He was spilling the tea. And of course, he's not to be trusted. He's not reliable. You know, that's what the Republicans keep saying. You know, he can't be trusted. He can't be believed and everything like that. Now, how come everyone who was around Trump is getting in trouble but Trump? I mean, that should say something. You know, but we know what it is. We know that these Republicans just want to keep Trump in office to please that is all it is, and to get their agendas out there. That's all it is. Because if you were true patriots, and this even goes for his supporters, if you were true patriots, you wouldn't put up with this shit that Trump is doing. I mean, he's just doing everything to try to fuck up this country because he's working for Putin. Let's keep it real. If he doesn't win this time, or God forbid, if he is reelected and we had to deal with this fool for 4 more years, whenever his presidency is over, he's getting the hell up out of the United States. He is gone. I promise you that. He's out of here. There's no secret about that. He even said himself, once he leaves office, you'll probably never see him again. Thank God. We can all hope. Okay. But anyway, let's talk about this impeachment real quick. So there are so many Republicans that, you know, are saying that they just want to get it over with. They just want to get it over with because this isn't something to be impeached for. Well, what the hell is there to be impeached for? You know, it was definitely an abuse of power. They called Bill Clinton getting the blowjob an abuse of power, but this isn't holding foreign aid. And I mean, it's just ridiculous how they have just completely just become the party of complete and total hypocrites. And I'm about sick of Lindsey Graham being the voice for the Republican Party because he's not making y'all's case any better, sis. He's not. And Lindsey Graham, I'm going to ask you again, what's tea? What is the tea, sis? Because Trump has to have something on you. Seriously. I mean, what ginger did they catch you with? I need to know because, I mean, you completely just are out here looking like a fool and you don't care. You don't care. You're just out here as ignorant as you can be and you don't care. And that's really sad. And I don't pay attention to who they are or anything like that. But one Republican senator basically said that, you know, we're going to be fair and we're going to listen to all the evidence and this, that, and the other, but Trump is not leaving office. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. You can't come to that realization before you even hear the evidence. I mean, come on now. I mean, let's be for real. Let's keep it all the way 100. Stop the shit. Stop it. You know, we already know that y'all are not going to remove him from office. If you have all the votes in order to keep him in office, you're going to. I mean, it is what it is. And you keep saying, well, let the public decide in November. You know we can't wait till November. And you know that there's some bullshit going on where there's going to be some more election interference, and you can only hope that there is. And not only speaking of election interference, but I guess the Supreme Court is supposed to be hearing the case against getting rid of the Electoral College, which this old ancient bullshit needs to go anyway. But of course, the Republicans and the conservatives aren't going to want it to leave because that is the only way in modern history that they have won the presidential election is by the Electoral College. I don't know when the last time was a Republican won the popular vote, you know, and I mean, the Electoral College is just, it needs to go away. It needs to be the popular vote like any other election is decided upon. The Electoral College is some 1800, 19th century bullshit that needs to go. Okay, let it go. But this is just turning into a hot ass mess. It's been a mess, but it's just getting worse. I mean, Trump is out here. He's trying to get rid of everything that the Obamas have done. Instead of focusing on the stuff that you promised, you're trying to get rid of everything to remove the Obamas legacy, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You could do whatever you want to do, but it's not going to happen. I mean, now he signed something to get rid of Michelle Obama's healthy lunch programs. I mean, who does that? Why is that a concern? And why is that something that you would want to get rid of? Just because your ass lives on Diet Coke and KFC and McDonald's Big Macs doesn't mean that everyone else can do that. And of course, as you put it, you're in perfect health and everything. When we can look at you and just clearly tell you're an obese pig. I mean, your skin tone isn't healthy looking. Nothing about you is healthy looking, but yet you want to dictate how somebody else, especially children, can have a healthy lunch, mainly while at school and while at after school programs and things like that. Why is that an issue? Why is that something that you felt like needed to be removed and canceled and gotten rid of? Why? We know why. And speaking of Republicans and conservatives and whatever, The View needs to get rid of Meghan McCain. Now, normally I am all for, I may not agree with the conservative person that they put on there or people, because now they've had like more than one person on there. It used to just be one. Like when Elizabeth Hasselbeck was on there, I could not stand her, but I respected her to the point because she did not back down from her views. Her views were her views. She was passionate about it, and she was annoying, but it wasn't like something where she was just trying to be an ass. Meghan McCain, she's just being a total bitch. And that's all she's being. She's rude. She's immature. She's like a child up there who can't get their way, and it's old. Okay? It is beyond old. She needs to go. Let's just put that out there. Girlfriend needs to go. Okay? I mean, pretty much everyone on that panel has gotten you together, even people who have the same views as you do. The one chick, I can't think of her name because I don't really watch it as much as I used to, but the other chick that's just leaving, she's the other conservative voice on there. I mean, her and Megan get into it about as much as she and Joy and she and Whoopi do. And Whoopi really takes a lot to piss her off. So when Whoopi has to put the let me tell you something on you, you need to just shut up. But she can't. She can't do it because she's a child. She's a big, huge child. She just needs to go. I mean, there's a damn petition to get rid of your ass. So that says a lot right there. But ABC and The View, they're not going to get rid of her because she brings in ratings. The only way they're going to get rid of her is if she decides to leave at the end of her contract. Y'all can do all the petitions and everything y'all want to. Y'all should know by now that shit don't work. I would rather them bring, what's her name, Jedediah back. No, I liked her. She was kind of like a more tolerable Elizabeth Hasselbeck, to where you would actually, it seemed like she had sense, you know what I mean? And they're not going to bring Anna Navarro on there because Anna Navarro is a more, I can't think of the other word that they use for the other side of the Republican Party. You know how on the Democratic Party they have liberals and they have moderates. Then on the Republican side, they have conservatives and they have another one. And that's basically what Anna Navarro falls under. They don't want that type of voice on there. And Anna Navarro is the complete and total opposite of, what the hell's her name? Meghan McCain. She is the total opposite of her. Even the only thing they have in common is that they are both in the Republican Party. That's it. But they're two totally different extremes. I'm sick of her. She needs to go. She really needs to go. And Lonnie Love, girl, ain't nobody thinking about you and that white man. I mean, come on now. Nobody cares. Date who you want to date, sis. Nobody gives a damn. You feel a certain way about it. That's what it is. I mean, you can always tell nobody cares who you date. Nobody cares. You could tell it's always the people who are in interracial relationships, especially black people who are in a relationship with a white person who had to try so hard to prove their blackness. They're the ones that are insecure. You don't see people who are in interracial relationships that have to do so much to prove their blackness or to prove who they are and who they love and everything like that, who they fell in love with or whatever, because they're secure in their relationship and they're secure with who they are. Love who you want to love. I'm the last person to tell somebody you need to be in this type of relationship, you need to be in that type of relationship. No, love who you want to love. It doesn't matter the sex, race, gender, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can't control who you fall in love with. A lot of people fall in love with someone who may be their complete and total opposite. A lot of people fall in love with someone who may be the same sex or same gender. A lot of people fall in love with someone who may be a different race or nationality, whatever. Love who you want to love. But when you constantly have to try to prove your blackness and try to prove that people are upset because you're dating someone of another race, especially when you're a black woman dating a white man or whatever, vice versa, then that's your issue, sis. That ain't got nothing to do with us, but you're getting on my nerves. I mean, you are just really out here just showing your ass lately. And I used to really like Lonnie Love, but we are getting to see the true Lonnie Love, which a lot of people who had been dealing with her for years and said this is why her career never really took off until she got on, what the hell is this show called? Not The View. What the hell is it called? Whatever that show is called. I don't watch it. The one with her, Tamara Mowry, and all them. The one that Tamar used to be on. Whatever. I believe a lot of the things that have happened with her behind the scenes and her being shady, and she's just an insecure person, and you can tell. And she's proving it in her relationship as well. Girl, if you really love that white man, love that white man. You know what I mean? Don't sit up here and talk about everybody got an issue with who I'm dating and everything like that. Girl, don't nobody care. Don't nobody care about you or him. Don't nobody want you or him. I mean, people like that really get on my damn nerves. I see it all the time, and we really see it in gay relationships. And I'm talking about gay men relationships where I talk to my gay men friends about this all the time. My gay black male friends about this, I should say. It's like when certain gay black men get to a point, you always see them with gay white men. You rarely see a gay black power couple together. We see it in entertainment. We see it in our local politicians. We see it just, with people who, when they get to a certain level in their career, it's like they don't want to share that with another black person, with another black man. I mean, it happens. There have been interracial relationships forever. Who cares who somebody loves? But when you have to try to prove yourself to somebody that you're actually in love with this person and it's everybody else's, issue and not yours, no boo. It's your issue. Just let it go. Okay, now that I got those last few topics off my chest, now let's get into something else real quick. So let's talk about how I've turned into an old biddy. So no, I'm just joking. No. But I mean, yeah, I turned 40 last month and I really feel good. I don't feel like, I really didn't know how I would feel because I didn't hear anything bad about anybody turning 40, I'm sorry. And the reason why I said 30 was because I felt more of a way about turning 30 than I did about turning 40. I came to the realization that maybe when I turned 30, I just felt like I had to instantly grow up. And I say that because, not saying that I wasn't already grown or anything like that, of course, but I think when you leave your 20s and you go into your 30s, I think you feel like that there's so much pressure on you to do this and to do that. Basically live like an adult. You know what I mean? You've had your fun in your 20s. Okay, now it's time to grow up. I don't live like that, I mean, I have no desire to get married. I don't even really want to be in a relationship. By now, if I didn't have any kids before now, I'm not having any. My nieces and nephew, even though I didn't give birth to them, I love them like they were my own. Those are my babies. That's good enough for me. However, I do feel good. I feel good. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it really, but I feel more at ease about turning 40 than I did about 30. And I've heard so many other people say that. I feel like I'm grown now. I really feel like an adult. I feel like I'm in a good place. I feel like that I'm not going to deal with bull crap anymore. I'm not going to deal with, funny acting people who, if you don't want to be bothered with me at this point, then we don't have anything to discuss. I just feel so much better about myself than I did 10 years ago. I mean, I had a lot going on in my 30s, being sick and, just going through so much different bull crap than I did in my 30s that I don't want for my life going forward to be like that. I want it to be just as easy. Well, nothing's going to be easy, but y'all know what I mean. Just relaxed as much as it can be. I just want to do what I want to do. I want to go to work and then I want to come home and I just want to just write and I just want to hang out and I just want to, do the podcast and I just want to do what I want to do. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I just feel just so different. It was like maybe a month before my 40th birthday, I started feeling a little weird. Before then I was just like, whatever, I'm just thankful. Hopefully I make it, because so many people I know have not made it to 40 years old. It just made me just, be thankful for that. So I didn't want to put too much into it, just live your life, girl. That's all you can do. But about a month and a half before my 40th birthday, I started feeling a little way. I was just like, dang, like I'm 40, like what the hell have I done? And then I sit back and think about it and I'm like, I've done a lot. I've done a lot in 40 years and I've been through a lot and I'm still here and I'm still me. If you don't like it, I can't do anything about that. Then about a week before I turned 40, I was just like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's do this. And then my birthday came. It was just like a normal day. I didn't feel any different. I got up. I think it was my birthday. My birthday was on a Tuesday, I think. Or was it a Monday? I can't remember. Anyway, it was a day I had to be in office. And I just got up and I went to work like nothing happened. Like it was just a normal day. I love the person who I am. I love the person who I've become. There are times when I have let myself get down. And I'm human. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. I have my days. I had depression, anxiety. It's going to happen regardless. However, I feel like I'm a new person. I just feel like I have this renewed sense of purpose. And I don't know what it is. It's just like I'm just at a point right now. It was just like something clicked with me. And it was just like, I don't want to do what I did 3 or 4 years ago. I don't want to do what I did when I was struggling, just with myself and everything like that. I want to be someone who I can wake up every day and just feel amazing about myself and just feel like I just have this purpose and that I just feel like I'm almost, and I don't want to say this, it almost sounds like a suicidal way, but that I'm worthy of living. And I almost caught myself going back there because I got involved with somebody who, took me to those bad places before. And it's just like you just have to let go of certain people. When you let people just dictate how you're going to feel about things and how you want to live your life, you're not the one that's in charge anymore. They are. And I refuse to let that happen. It's just so much that I just came to the realization of last month that I need to live for me. And I keep talking about it on my blog and everything because everything that I have done for 39 years of living, even when I was a damn baby, has been at the benefit of other people. It has been to make other people happy, make other people comfortable. And I'm still that person. Don't get me wrong. I'm still the person that, I love to help people. I love to, be there for people and things like that. But I've always put myself to the back. I've always, altered how I felt about things to make others feel more comfortable. And I can't do that anymore. And I'm not going to do it anymore. There comes a time in all of our lives where we have to do this for us. You know what I mean? It's like you have to do it for yourself. At the end of the day, you're the one that has control over how you react to things, how you live. No one else does. You may feel that people do. And I felt like that at a point. I felt like there were people who, controlled my happiness and controlled how I felt about myself. And you can't do that. You can't do that anymore. Just stop it. Just stop it and just focus on you. And it's not being selfish. It's taking your life and the way that you feel about yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, everything. It's about putting that first and foremost. That's what it's about. And that's what I want everyone to feel like. That's what I want everyone to know is that this is your life. So many of you have kids and spouses and, you may be taking care of elder family members or whoever, but you have to make time for yourself because if you're not good with you, you can't be good for anybody else. And that was one of the biggest things that I learned is why I was so down on myself. Why am I trying to make other people feel better about themselves when I can't even do it with me? So that's where I'm at right now. I'm happy. I'm in a good place. Yes, I have my issues. Yes, I have things going on. But for the most part, this is the best that I have felt in years. And I just want to keep it like that. Does it have to do with turning 40? Does it have to do with taking control of myself, my life, all that stuff? Yeah, it has to do with all of that. I really, truly believe that when you hit a certain age, a different milestone in your life, you just feel different. You just feel so different about yourself, and you should. You should. And don't let anybody else make you feel that you shouldn't feel good about yourself, because you do have people out there who will try to make you feel guilty about becoming a better you. Do you want to be around people like that? Do you want to be around people who constantly make you just feel like crap every time that you're around them, or that you leave them, or every time that you get back around them that you just feel like a fool? Do you want to feel like that? I mean, if you do, because I know there are people who thrive off of drama and they love that stuff and that's the only way that they can function, but I'm not that person. So that's just where I'm at right now. And I just want to take my life from here on out, however long that I am blessed to have breath in my body. I just want to just pass that message on to everybody. That's just what I want to do. And if I had to do it through a podcast, if I had to do it through talking to my friends, if I have to do it in a blog post, which I've been trying to do, so be it. Whatever my calling is, that's my calling. And I'm going to get more into how I plan on doing that, not only on my blog, but also in future podcasts, which will be coming, I promise you. Thank you all for listening to Danny B Speaks, the podcast. I truly appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to my show. Don't forget that you can listen to the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Play Music, Spotify, and Stitcher. Also, don't forget to check out my blog, DannieBSpeaks.com, where I post about any and everything as well, just like over here on the podcast. You can also listen to the podcast on the blog as well. So while you're over there, you might as well just go ahead and listen to it, catch up on it. All the podcasts are on there. If you have any questions, suggestions, feedback, would like for me to endorse or promote anything or anyone, hit me up at DannieBSpeaks@gmail.com. I keep putting it out here, but it appears that the people who want to be on the podcast aren't listening to it. But anyway, I'll keep saying it. If you want to be on the podcast as a guest, as a co-host, please hit me up as well at my email, DannieBSpeaks@gmail.com. And I reply to everything. As always, have a great and productive week, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.